For the first time in many years, Twitter is actually growing. It's fascinating watching Elon take over Twitter, and they lost like 80% of their employee workforce, yet the company is growing for the first time in several years. It's fascinating to watch, and we're going to talk about in this video how you can grow your presence on Twitter in 2023. If we haven't met yet, I'm Nils Smith. I'm your social media guide, and I love Twitter. I have loved Twitter for many years. I think I've been on Twitter now for 13 years. It was my primary social network for many years, and the reality is, probably over the last 5 years, I've seen Twitter decline. And my attention on Twitter has declined significantly. And we saw some different spikes, and like when Periscope came around and they acquired Periscope, and then it's like Periscope just faded away, or Twitter Live. And so it seems like they've kind of squandered a lot of opportunities through the years. And then when Elon bought Twitter, it was like, Twitter's either gonna blow up or it's gonna blow up. And it's kind of gone both ways. So basically meaning it's gonna blow up, like it's gonna crash and die, or it's gonna blow up and it's gonna get huge. And the reality is, I don't think either are gonna happen after what I've seen here in maybe the first 6 months or however long it's been since Elon acquired Twitter. I don't think Twitter is gonna crash. I think it's actually going to grow and build steadily, and the engagement's higher than it's ever been. And so with a fraction of the workforce, they're actually growing like never before and staying stable and innovating like I've never seen Twitter innovate before. So I am excited about where Twitter's going, but I also don't think it's going to blow up. I don't think the engagement is going to compare to Instagram or some of these other platforms, but I do believe that it's going to stick around, and I do believe it's going to keep growing. And maybe over time, and that's the kind of growth you really want. You don't want explosive growth, and because we've seen a lot of social networks explode fast and then crash. I think Twitter is here for the long haul, and I think it's worth investing in. So I want to give you some tips as to how, if you're going to invest in Twitter, which I think is a good idea, how I believe you can invest effectively in 2023. So if you're gonna invest in Twitter and you wanna grow your Twitter platform, you gotta show up. You can't just be like, oh, I don't have any followers on Twitter. You gotta show up every single day, and you gotta tweet at least once a day. The reality of showing up, it means you need to engage with others, you need to be present, you need to listen. There's lots of things to do when you show up, but you also need to show up and you need to say something. So at least every single day, you need to tweet, a text-only tweet, something. Tweet every day. That's your first step. So if you want to get started, you want to engage and grow your Twitter, show up and say something. Now, here's the number one tip. If you want to grow your Twitter in 2023, reply. Reply as much as you can. Reply and engage as much as you can. Look at what's trending and reply. Leave your thoughts. And that's how people are going to find you. They're not going to just randomly come across your tweet when you have 12 followers. They're going to see your replies that are thoughtful to other people's tweets and say, who's this guy? Who's this lady? Why, what are they about? Because I align, or I'm curious about that comment. So if you want to grow your following, the best way to do that is to reply as much as you can. Now, there's limits. There's, thousands of tweets every second that are being tweeted. So you can't reply to every tweet, but spend more time replying than you do just talking and tweeting and posting. This is one of my favorite things to do on Twitter. And it's the first thing I actually do in the morning is I look at what's trending. What are the top 20 topics? And can I jump in those trends? And so I'll jump into those trends and I'll reply to the people that are tweeting about those hot topics, or I will just tweet based on those hot topics because I know that's what people are focused on. They're thinking about, that's top of mind. And I want to share my thoughts related to what's going on in culture. And so especially if it's something specific to what I'm, most passionate about, like social media, I'm going to tweet about that. And so look at what's trending. Look at what's trending even locally in your area, and then tweet about those things, reply to those tweets. So follow the trends, because Twitter is primarily a news platform that is focused on what's going on at the center of, town square. And so, yeah, look at what's going on and talk about what's going on. Right now, what I see as a hack, what's trending most on Twitter, what gets the best engagement on Twitter, like 5 times the engagement on the tweets that I have using this tactic, and that's polls. When I make a poll where basically it's like, would you rather have Nike or Reebok shoes? It's a simple like, check this or that. It's not a reply with a word. So it's just really easy to interact with. And when Twitter sees that interaction, they're going to show it to more people. And so tweeting polls is a great way to, one, learn about your audience and what they're interested in, and two, it's a great way to just increase your organic engagement. And so when it comes to what's working right now on Twitter, polls are the tool or the tactic that I would try to use regularly. I would try to tweet at least one poll once a week, maybe more, if you can think about different things that relate to what's important to you and your followers. Okay, I want to talk about something that I don't use very much myself, but I do think is a great tool if you have time capacity, and that's spaces on Twitter. And so this is basically, you can create a space, and it's an audio, basically like a big Zoom call just for audio. And it's a way where you can talk about, basically give it a title, and you can talk about anything. You talk about politics, you talk about crypto, or you could talk about, news items, and you have a room, and it could be 3 people or 2 people talking, or it could be 20,000 people talking, and you could have different people on stage, and it could be an interview or conversation, and you could basically have a bunch of people that are just listening. There's lots of different functionality to those spaces and how you can use those, but it's a great way to build an audience. As those are at the top of Twitter, and you could see, especially trending spaces, if you can create a space that gets a lot of attention, you're gonna see a pretty significant audience grow pretty fast. And so spaces is a way that if you can have time to grow that audience, it's a great way to really, I think, be engaged natively with how Twitter is moving and where the current engagement is happening. If you're looking for somebody to follow that's using this tactic well, and Grant Cardone is a guy that I don't recommend everything he sells and says, but he is using spaces in a really creative way. And so watching what he does and how he's actually using his team to grow these audiences and having hour-long or multiple hours-long spaces that are going on and attracting an audience and building a following on these platforms, it's a really interesting tool. So yeah, so if you're looking to grow on Twitter, I would look at spaces as a tool. I would use polls, but make sure you're tweeting daily and you're replying to tweets more than you're tweeting. I think that's how you grow on Twitter in 2023.